start of a new work week, ladies and gentlemen. It's got to be said, we're both struggling to resensitise to the right time. It's the first holiday we've been to that was like behind England in time, so we're like really struggling to go to bed on time and fall asleep because we're used to it being 2 hours earlier. It's like we're still jet lagged a little bit. It's weird. I've never experienced this before. Also, we need to think of something to use that table for, because it seems very empty now, which is real sad. So, yeah. I also had to put something in the bin, which meant that I saw like the cage and whatnot, which is really sad as well. I feel like, I guess people will probably wonder, we're not thinking about getting another pet at least until after Christmas, so we'll see how we like accustom ourselves to living petless. It's going to be hard work, but there's no point get one before Christmas because we move around too much, so it's not really fair, to be honest. Just had to come on a wander on the search for some kind of vegan cake. Strong advocate for holiday and birthday tax. If you've had a good time, then you need to pay back your work colleagues. And I've made cookies for everyone else except for my boss, who is kind of my boss, who is vegan, and he also lent me my snorkel when I went on holiday, so I have a double tax, but very difficult to find. I'm treating myself to one of these lovely sandwiches though. It's become relatively difficult for me to vlog to you when I actually get off the bus. Like, I used to always vlog between the bus and work and the bus, but I've got Bus Buddy now. So I always end up getting the bus with this other guy, and then I end up walking to work with him or walking back out. So I apologise for that. We had a very good day today. It was more a case of like picking up and catching up on things, all that malark. But we were able to like blitz through everything. Progress was good while I was away, but I was like a couple of things that I was tidying up, and then doing a bit of testing. That was kind of like how I got back into it. I was like, I'll tidy up some tests in this area while you dive around in this area a little bit. And I was like tidying up the tests as I go along. And then we had like an issue where we had end-service. We use end-service bus, which is a bit of a pain in the arse, to be honest with you, for our message bus stuff. We had problems with that connecting to Azure. And it was causing issues, but it turns out it was something that we have in a NuGet package, so we had to update a NuGet package to get it running. But it's, you know, one of them things where you've been there for like 2 hours, there's two of us for 2 hours, like, the fuck is this? And then just like strip it all apart and then take stuff out until it worked, basically. And there was this problem where two things were being added into dependency injection, into whatever that's called, you know what I mean? And the second one didn't have the configuration of the first one, and then it was getting confused. So it just literally took out a line. The kind of thing where two people spend 2 hours and all you do is take out one line. It's Monday, so I am waiting for Laura to come back so that we can do dinner and go shopping and whatnot. Otherwise though, I am going to very quickly try and edit together a video. I think I mentioned that I was looking into working with different sleep cycles, and it's kind of worked it out so that about now, when I get in, at 6:15, I would have a 20-minute nap. And then I'd be alright then till 11 o'clock at night, when I then go to sleep, for a 3-hour sleep. And then I have a nap just before 6. And then there's one at work. But that's kind of like the plan that I'm looking at, and if I can consistently get back for 6:15, it works. The advantage of like that style of sleeping cycle, i.e. the everyman sleeping cycle, which is what it's called, is that if you miss a nap, it doesn't necessarily matter. If you go for like the Uberman cycle, which is a bit more aggressive, you have to go with a lesser. Well, if you miss a nap, I was trying to multitask. If you miss a nap, then it like floors you, like it literally floors you. So it's not very ideal unless you literally have complete control of your own schedule. But first day back and I'm already getting into the zone. Though I did break my belt, which I'm not very happy about. Went shopping and like we've discovered that like it's the little things that like properly sting. Like Laura said, when she leaves the house in the morning, she used to always say, like, see you later, Graham, have a good day. And that like stung her. And then as I came home from shopping, I normally always walk in and go, hey Graham, we're back. Okay. It's really bad, man. Also, that bread needs to go in the bin. I think as well, I think we fucked up because we buried it near the car, where we parked the car, because there aren't many places to bury a hamster. It's quite difficult to dig a hamster-sized hole. But now every time we park, we can see where. So inevitably, at some point, we're going to go there, and then a fox is going to have dug her up or something. I'm not looking forward to that day. And because we see it every single day, we're not going to forget about it either. So, bastard. But otherwise, we standard shopping thing. I've stayed up late because I've uploaded and scheduled all of the videos that I've made. So now I'm up to date as far as I'm concerned. I think the last one goes up on the 2nd of October. So this video will be kind of in the right time frame. Not fully, but a little bit. To be told, it's probably a bit wet to take the longboard out. It hasn't rained since like yesterday afternoon, but it's just not warm enough to dry out anymore. Starting to get my balance now though. I've started off with like obviously wet wheels and my black shoes, which aren't as grippy as my Converse, but I've got it kind of wet enough to be greasy and slippy, but not wet enough to like flicker water, which is the most important thing, I guess. I just have to remind myself to dry my bearings when I get there. It's genuinely hard work this. I do not have all of the grip in the world on these shoes, so hopefully I have a relatively smooth ride in. But we're going to a meetup thing after work today, and the amount of times I've tried and driven, it's not worth it. I always end up late. My thoughts were, while it's still dry enough to do it, ironically, may as well longboard down into the train station and get the train across. But that's also like strengthened by the fact that some people from work are also coming. So we're all going to get the train from Bath after work. Probably go for some drinks after too, so I'm looking forward to that. If this were to happen again, I'd probably have to drive, depending on how wet it is obviously. But while you can longboard into the station without putting any effort in 15 minutes, why not? Oh wait, I remember, it's because trains are 3 times more expensive than driving. Can't you tell it's winter, ladies and gentlemen? Holy Christ. Something to be said about longboarding in the dark. It's a lot harder. Because I think you don't take into account just how much you're looking for like the little bumps so that you're ready when you hit it. Not that you try and dodge them in particular, but you're just a little bit more ready than normal, and as you hit them you kind of adjust, whereas in the dark you just kind of go, ooh. We had a bit of a retrospective and a planning day today, and then otherwise myself and someone else at work headed on over to a meetup on Identity Server in Spa Apps, which was quite good. There's 2 things that we're particularly interested in, which is like managing refresh tokens. There's no .NET implementation for that, but there is one for a JavaScript library, so we're going to have a dive into there. But it looks like it's using iframes to stay within the session. So it's using the session to authenticate. This bit of a frick. I need to dive into this stuff a little bit more because it is a bit of a... I don't really 100% understand it. There's quite a lot of like cross-cutting stuff. Otherwise today we were sorting out a lot of end service bus related stuff too, as we're moving on to like listening to queues and stuff. And we're trying to set out the patterns that we're going to be using moving forward. So we have these sessions where every now and again we get together as other parts of the developers and stuff, and we discuss patterns that we've done and then try and figure out if there's better ways or see if everyone's on the right page about stuff. So someone else demoed like the cache thing that they did. We raised something about wanting to create a project for NuGet package, a NuGet package project for reusable, shareable code and all that malarkey. It's really good fun. But yeah, so we had a jolly good fun meet up, and then headed on back here, watched a bit of the Bake Off, Laura to bed, and I've been naughty because I've been doing work, not my work, because I was like, I don't want to stay up late. So I just want to dive into something, and one of these days today was quite a lot of meeting and admin stuff, so I didn't get a lot of programming done. So I was like, oh, I'll just have a cheeky 45 minutes. It's an hour and 45 minutes later, 1 o'clock, and it's bedtime. I haven't seen rain. Well, is that a lie? I have seen a bit of rain, but not walked in it. A really fun day today. I seem to have started picking up quite a bit of admin, which is less fun, but it's quite time consuming. I've had quite a fun day today trying to extract our old email service and pull it into the new world. And it's like supposed to be a lift and shift. Nah. It's one of those things that like half predated me, half didn't. So it's rather out of date with the current standards, so it's quite To be honest with you, it's a bit of a pain in the arse. However, I have just like started properly programming my own stuff for the first time, obviously since holiday. And I'd imagine for a little while, Laura would absolutely shit herself if she saw that. But I was having a dive around in my own project. I think I was kind of at the stage where I kind of lost momentum through just being like exhausted, I guess. And then I was like just trying to struggle to get back into it. But today, I bloody well got back into it again. I've been exploring through media. Laura was netballing for 2 hours, and that sailed by, and then I've just stayed up for another 2 hours. So it's 1 o'clock. It's gone 1 in the morning again. It's not good. I need to. I can't continue to do this sleeping pattern because it's unhealthy for you to not sleep a lot or not have effective sleep a lot. If that makes sense. The advantage of going to a different sleeping pattern is you in theory have more efficient sleep. Having one big sleep at night or one not so big sleep at night isn't very efficient unless you can train your body to get everything it needs from that kind of small sleep. But anyway, so I've been investigating and implementing Mediator, which is really nice. I really like it. And what I've done is I've added in like pipeline behaviours, so any message that goes through the mediator goes through a pipeline behaviour. It looks for validators, it'll validate the message. If it fails, throw it out. If it doesn't, it'll go down to the next thing on the pipeline. And then what you can do is, they're quite good because you can do things like auditing. You can then audit off that same thing. So you fire one command, it goes through, it validates, it does auditing, it logs, and then whatever you want in these pipelines. It's really, really cool. But I've started to notice, and I've started to become semi-aware of this. It's something that I start getting a bit twitchy. The new way that everything's going in like ASP.NET and .NET Core and all that kind of stuff is everything's being driven by dependency injection and pipelines and things like that. We're trying to explain this. So you know how you can do validation on view models. You can add attributes to all the different view models in order to do validation. Now, there's one attribute you can have at the top, which is like a validator, and then you can specify a fluent validator. And then what you'll be able to do is do this.modelState.isValid, and it uses the attribute, and then it goes bam through. Happy days. The problem with that is there's no way of testing that validator's being used. There's short of doing reflection and pulling out the attributes, which you don't do. There is nothing you can do for that. It's just gone. Like if someone commented that out, you would have to run the UI and spot that validation was off. So on the same kind of thing, with half these things in the pipeline, what it basically does, this pipeline thing, is it looks for a validator that's in dependency injection. If it's there, it runs it. If it isn't there, at the moment, it just does basically no operations. I guess I could make it throw an exception. If you can't find a validator at runtime, then maybe throw an exception. That's possible. But again, you're in the scenario where it's at runtime. What if this thing only happens every blue moon? And you have to run basically essentially end-to-end integration tests in order to flesh out each one, find that problem. It's quite a big feedback loop. It takes a long time to get that failure. And previously, what you would do is you just inject in a validator, and then you would literally just go, call validate, fail. But then you could test that because you've got an actual like physical call, not physical call, being explicit. And the more things that people start pulling out, automapper, for example, often you can get into the scenario where like there's things you can do to make sure the mapping configuration is valid, but there's no way of knowing from a unit test level that the mapper configuration that you have injected in dependency injection has the things that you need in it. Like, more and more stuff is being pulled out into dependency injection, which is good, and being pulled out into like captured things like mediator, like automapper, like dependency, like this style of stuff means that you're forced to do some kind of integration test to do it, and then you're not testing that specific thing. Like, I'm thinking about adding integration tests at work for the message buses because it's quite easy to like not test that. It's quite a tricky thing to set up tests on your local machine to run it. So it's like running the integration test on that will be dope. What you could do is you could create the dependency injection stuff, just do all of that thing, and then just the domain model, or all the domain stuff and the databases, mock all of that shit out. Relatively trivial, just bam, this is all working. But if you've got like CQRS patterns with mediator in the domain, then how do I integration test the domain? Like, or do I just do an end-to-end? In which case, like I say, how far away is the ends? It's something that's I'm getting a bit twitchy about. I'm going to have to keep an eye on it. I'm going to talk to people at work, see what they think. It's been like in the back of my mind recently, and it's just like I've just like put my finger on it, you know. I wonder if this kind of like implicit behaviour. Is that the word I want? Like implied behaviour rather than explicit. Yeah, implicit. I wonder if there is it's charity dress down day, by the way. Don't panic. I wonder if it's something or that can be got around. I've been thinking that there needs to be a semi-easy way of doing tests using the dependency injection configurations. Be that overriding configurations with mocks where appropriate, i.e. like a database repository you could mock, and things like that, or some other way, you know. Obviously I think there's ways of doing like some frameworks anyway have easy ways of basically going, hey, get the container out and then do a .validate, which basically it just tries to create everything and then catches exceptions. But yeah, I wonder if there's a way of doing that. Probably best off rolling this video to an end now. It's kind of awkward because I do have this like, there's someone I meet, basically we get on the bus together, so like as soon as I get out of my car, I can't talk to you about stuff regardless of whether or not I actually want to or not, which is rather irritating. It's not irritating, it's just sometimes I just want to get on the bus and just chill. It's kind of like, you know what I mean? Does that make sense? It's kind of like, I'm used to having that walk in to be like, okay, chill, in, you're in work. But now it's like this, a little bit beforehand. But on the flip side of that, it is good having someone to talk to. So you can't have it all, can you? You know, complain in one breath and then... Anyway, I have been playing around with some Azure stuff today. I've been having basically no end of trouble trying to get things running on my computers. What I've realised is some stuff is throwing some jib at me. So what does that mean? I'm having issues with the way that RabbitMQ seems to be running on my machines and stuff, and I'm thinking it's probably because I want my... Oh, there you go, the towels out of the tumble dryer. I don't know what it is, but it seems to just... I don't know whether it's fighting my antivirus or something, but it seems to be fighting something, and it just keeps spinning up my processes, and I'm struggling to connect to it. And like my intention will be to move to Azure Service Bus anyway, so I'm thinking I might just do it, and like the monthly cost is negligible for the amount of stuff that I'm going to be doing it for. I think I've just spun up an account and whatnot, and we'll see. But I might just start getting a bit serious about that kind of stuff anyway, because it's going to help. And yeah, so I'm thinking of shifting back to what it is that I wanted to shift to in the first place. Sticking with MongoDB still, but RabbitMQ is going to go shifty. Otherwise though, I've stayed up a little bit. I'm going to try and go to bed before 1 today, but I've stayed up a little bit later than I was expecting to, mainly because I'm like trying to dive around. I feel like I was trying to see if I was allowed free credits for Azure stuff. I think I was a little bit preemptive using up my free trial. I shall have a look into that kind of thing again. What else have I done? I've just been kind of debugging stuff, and like today as well, it's been a day of debugging. It's been like a relatively slow day, and it was all like namespace and issues. And then here, I don't know why. I don't know what's going on, but it won't let me do it properly. And I feel like it just should. But either way, I know something's happening. Like I say, with is it Earl stuff that rabbit? Anyway, it's part of the bite. It's boring. I don't have anything interesting to tell you. That's the problem. I'm going to end this video though because it's getting a bit long and rambly. So, oh, also, no, that's what I was going to tell you. I knew there was something. Like, I've basically now become the work freak because everyone talks about how, like that thing I was talking about the other day before I went on holiday about where you sit on a bus, and they think that's weird. Apparently, I'm the only person who thinks like that. And then the other things like when you go shopping on the same day of the week and all that kind of stuff, or you do washes on the same day, and if you don't do a wash on the same day, like we haven't with these towels, they get forgotten because it's not part of the routine. Or you have like meal plans and stuff like that. People think it's weird. And I'm like, I'm not that weird. God damn it. But anyway, I'm heading to bed. I'm going to start these towels. I'm going to head to bed. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you later.